Hey, it's Celicia, certified professional life coach, and I help women expand their level of self-awareness through self-love so they can capitalize on their happiness while being single and realize that having a partner is just a bonus. Today, I want to talk about healing and how healing is a lifestyle. It is not a destination. So I remember one time I made a post and I said, how many of you guys actively work on your healing? And someone commented and said, oh, I've already done that. Like, I don't need to heal anymore. I've already done the healing work. And it was interesting to me that they said that and they really believed that, because the healing work is a lifestyle. There is no destination when it comes to healing. There are so many layers when it comes to healing that we have to peel back. And when you feel like, a lot of times you feel like you've healed from something, and then you realize that you attract the same situation with a different face, that's because there's still much more to unpack. But when we think about it, you know how when you have a goal and you break your goal down into steps, right? Say my goal is to get a master's degree. And right now I am currently a freshman in college. So I know that I have to do the 4 years in undergrad and then the 2 years after that. And then within those years, I break down the different courses that's set up to get to the degree that I want to acquire. So healing is similar to that, except the destination is just your pure essence of who you were when you came here before you experienced all those traumas. But then again, a lot of your traumas wasn't only experienced in this lifetime, and that's a whole nother video. So to talk about healing, it's literally like getting the destination. So the biggest goal that you're trying to reach is your inner being, is the core essence of who you once were before any of the traumas occurred. So it's like where you are right now and you're trying to get to another place. And it is a process of peeling off those layers or breaking that down into little steps in order to get you to the common goal. And how those steps break down is through your experiences. It's through pain, it's through obstacle. Every single thing is a reflection of you. It's through relationships. Relationships are our biggest teachers. So it's through the relationships and what they're reflecting back to you. So when you think about your healing, think about it like this. Every single time when you were born, you were your pure essence, right? And then say something happened, say you have daddy issues, right? And the first time you experienced pain, maybe your dad neglected you as an infant. There's one layer that's covering up your pure essence of trauma. Then say your dad said something to you to beat you down when you were like 1, that's another layer. Say someone forgot to pick you up and you were neglected at 2 from the daycare, that's another layer, and so on and so forth. So every trauma experience under that same category is a whole nother layer that we're gonna have to peel back. And it starts as soon as you come out the womb. I know there's a psychologist in a book that I read, It Didn't Start With You, Mark Wolin, and he talked about how a lot of his clients, their trauma stemmed from when they were infants. Like one of his clients, they experienced a trauma of neglect from when they were 9 months old, when they caught pneumonia and they had to stay the night in the hospital, and the mom had to come and visit him while still being a mom to the rest of the children that were well at home. His trauma stemmed back to when he was a newborn baby or an infant. And so after peeling back those layers, that's when they got to the root of where his trauma stemmed from. But think about it, he's living a life without a therapist. So that's why the modalities of therapists, psychologists, and even life coaches and spiritual life coaches are so important, because sometimes they can help speed up the process of your healing, and they can help you break down the different steps so that you become more aware. So, okay, back to the story with the kid, right? So you have the pure essence, and then you have these different layers of trauma being built as you experience life. So that's why when you get to certain ages, like the longer you take to start working on your healing, the longer it's going to take for you to come back and break out of those habits. Because each year it's building a coping mechanism and a habit to keep you safe. And a lot of times that is to keep you away from the pain and the trauma that first occurred in the first place. So if you are running from healing all the way up until 50, by the time you're 50, the habits have been so strongly embedded in your life and your lifestyle that it's harder to break the longer you wait. So it's really important that you just hop on your healing and take responsibility for your healing as soon as you can. Now, we have all these different layers, right? So say you get into a relationship with a man and it's reflecting the neglect part of, you know, the parent that caused this trauma, and you dealt with it. That part of that layer is peeled off. And then you have another layer that dealt with the abusive word, verbally abusive, and you really looked into that and worked on what was lacking in you in that time when you received this abuse, and that layer is peeled off. And so what happens is we constantly, as we're taking this journey of healing, there's different steps that's going to constantly be peeling off as we get down to our pure essence. And so honestly, you know, it's literally a lifestyle, and it's going to take a lifetime, because there's going to be things that's going to constantly test you. But how you understand your growth, when you aren't shifted and lose yourself and go back to your lower self when something do occur, and you realize like, wow, back in the days I would have dealt with it this way, but now that I know better, I'm dealing with it this way. So that's how you can see your growth. Like for instance, I remember there was a guy who was in jail, and he was in jail from the age of 18 years old. And he used to be a hothead, so anything that somebody said to him, he would pop off, and he would just be fighting in jail all the time. So then he started reading books and worked on his healing, and then he was tested one time when he was standing in line to get food, and a guy came in and cut in front of him. So now back in the days, he said he would have took up a knife and literally stabbed this man in his neck, and it would have started a fight just because the man cut in front of him. You know, the egos are coming up. But this time he realized the suffering in this man. He saw the guy in his childhood self, and instead he just remained quiet. So in that moment, his healing was tested. So we have to also realize, as we are peeling back these layers, we're gonna constantly be tested to see how our level of healing is, and if we really did take the moment to heal from that. And if we didn't, then we're gonna constantly be repeating that same situation until we are able to move forward. So now this is when it gets tricky, right? So there are two truths, and I talk about this all the time, like there are always multiple truths. So one person might tell a story from their perspective, and that is absolutely true. And somebody who was experiencing that same thing with them can tell a story from a different perspective that sounds like two different stories, and that would be completely true too. So it's not about who is true or who is true anymore. It's about the ultimate truth. But a lot of times, yes, what you're saying is true, and yes, what the other person is saying is true. So when we look at, when we're looking at our experiences and we see that we are healing from one situation, and then it seems as if it's coming back again, and we're healing from another, and we're healing from the same thing, it's really not. Sometimes it's just telling us that there is more healing around this subject that needs to be done. So you're gonna constantly be hit with stuff that's gonna bring up. It's like we heal in layers, and what happens is whatever our trauma comes from, it surfaces, and then it burns off. It burning off is symbolizing us healing. It no longer being a part of us. So think about it like you're being boggled down, right? All these different layers of trauma, that's occurring. And by the time you get to a certain age or whatever, you are heavy. You have been boggled down. So as these things surface and burn off, you are becoming a lighter being, like physically and spiritually. And when I say physically and spiritually, is because now your healing, your internal healing is occurring, because when that's happening, your body is breaking down, you're experiencing a lot of catabolic energy. I always talk about catabolic and anabolic energy. Catabolic energy is when your cells are breaking down. Anabolic energy is when your cells are building up. So when you are carrying those trauma within you and you're not working on your healing, your body is constantly in a state of catabolic energy, so it's breaking down. So as you begin to heal and things are surfacing, you internally are experiencing more anabolic energy, so you're building up, and that building up is also in your spirit is becoming lighter, and so you're not having all this heavy issues, you're not feeling all this pain and trauma, you're not constantly cycling into this world of abuse. You're passing your test, and all these different things are happening. So as you are taking these steps towards healing, which is why I say healing is a lifestyle, because when you are constantly reading books about, certain traumas and healing, you are watching videos like these, you are around environments that is conducive towards your healing. So that means you're not sitting in relationships that are toxic, and you're not sitting in friendships that are toxic, and you're not listening to music that is toxic, and watching TV that is toxic, and eating toxic foods. Those are the things that are going to help you move toward your healing. So it is not just a one thing and you wake up, and I think the frustration with a lot of people is that they think that healing is something that just occurs once you read one book, boom, I'm healed. Or once you decide like, oh my God, I'm aware of this trauma that happened. And awareness is only literally half the battle, if not even half. But awareness is key. But just because you're aware that you have daddy issues don't mean that you're healed from daddy issues. Just because you're aware that you have mommy issues don't mean that you're healed from mommy issues. The awareness is one part, and the second big actual healing work is the action behind it. So the action does look like meditation. It does look like developing a healthier lifestyle, yoga, exercising. It looks like having healthier friendships. It looks like watching positive television and videos. It looks like all of those things that fuels you and make you better and expand your mindset. And the healing work is really done in the mind, but it's felt in the heart. The healing work is really done in the mind, but it's felt in the heart, and then it's shifted in the spirit. If I want to throw that little piece in there, because what is occurring is total healing. That's what you're going towards, and so it is a lifestyle. So don't think that your healing is a destination. Don't think that if you're seeing the same patterns occur that you're still not learning your lesson. It's not that you're not learning your lessons, it's just that you still have more there to heal. Yes, it could also mean that you're not learning your lessons. That's why I was saying there are two truths. But it can also mean that there's more in that area for you to heal. And the better you get, the better it gets. So don't beat yourself up on trying to figure out why this is still occurring or why this still has power over you, because you have to remember that the better you get, the better it gets. And if you want a better life, you have to take total control of your healing, which is a lifestyle. So you have to develop that lifestyle. My name is Celicia, and I help women expand their level of awareness through self-love to capitalize on their happiness while being single and realize that having a partner is just a bonus. Peace.